is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Focus, determination, passion, stamina, and the will to win. The end result, the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Extreme Motorsports brings you the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment, and in part by TD's Tree Service. Live Mondays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
For the final time this year, the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series in association with TD's Tree Service, is set to roar into life. The typical final race meeting of the season at Road Atlanta is all set to go. Both sets of classes, the Mustangs and the Mazda MX-5s, are ready to do battle around this famous circuit in the heartland of America, 4.06 kilometers in Braselton, Georgia. So we're looking forward to getting going here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be getting going once we have a look at the track guide to see how we negotiate this Road Atlanta circuit for the final race meeting of the season.
Welcome everyone to Road Atlanta. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide in the Ford Mustang. And today we come to you from Braselton, Georgia, located just northeast of downtown Atlanta. This track was constructed in 1969 on 750 acres of farmland and quickly became a mecca for road racing, featuring legends like Peter Gregg in his 1976 BMW and the great Paul Newman. The first winner at Road Atlanta was Vic Elford in his Chaparral 2J in 1970. Road Atlanta lives on today, hosting major road racing events, including the Petit Le Mans race held here each year. This track is full of elevation changes, as you will see on our track guide around this 3.5-mile road course through the red clay hills of Georgia. We start our track guide coming down out of turn 11 into the final corner here. The starts of races across this start-finish line are very exciting, as you'll see coming into turn 1. Drivers will sometimes go 2-3 wide into this corner, trying to get that edge to come up this hill to one of the blindest corners on the track. Turn 2. Still looking, there it is. Now into turn 3 to the right. Drivers will get a good quick run through here to head towards one of the most famous areas on the track, the S's. Down through this hill, back to the left, back to the right, hard on the brakes for this next uphill blind corner. Coming up out of 5 and down the straightaway. Short little straight, heading towards 6 and 7. Two very important turns on the course. Want to get a good run through 6, get a nice wide entry to set up for 7. You want to get a good rotation here, get that good launch off this corner as this takes you down the longest straightaway on the track and the highest speed section of the track. Drivers in the Mustang will probably reach speeds of 130, 135 mile an hour on this straightaway, but coming down into the next section is so critical. Great overtaking opportunities here as you do have slipstream on this straightaway. But 10A and B here are very tight. It's a real tight chicane. Got to get that nose to set at the bottom of the apex, come back up out of the apex, up to turn 11 under the bridge here, blind entry down the hill to turn 12, the final corner on the track, and back to the start-finish line. Very fast 3.5 mile course as we come down into turn 1 once again. That is your track guide for Road Atlanta. Thank you so much for being with us.
Final track guide of the season, and thanks as always to the guys at Ricmotech that provide us with them throughout the year. Give us the commentators and you at home the best possible way of finding how these drivers are going to get around the circuit. Well, welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of the final race meeting of the season. Not too much in the way of a title fight, but we're still guaranteed some great action around this Road Atlanta circuit for a 90-minute endurance race in the week before Christmas. Joining me then, Adam Bath, for this final race meeting, it's Alex Simpson, and it's also Tyler Vickery as well. Alex, I'll come to you first. Road Atlanta, we've been here many times before. We were talking just before we went on air. Where's the season gone? It's flown by pretty much, and one driver stood above everybody else really for another season, and it's Aero Nom in the Team Bushfink car.
Yeah, a phenomenal season for him. You know, he's come close to doing this before, but yeah, he could have the absolute perfect season this time around. So I think, you know, we want to see him do that. Obviously, last season he wasn't here for the very first round, which is why he didn't get that perfect score. But yeah, he's got the opportunity to do it today, and you know, you just can't say anything more than it's just been an absolute dominant, you know, perfect season for him. So you know, the guy's an absolute perfectionist. You know, he worries about his incident count and everything. You know, he wants that as low as possible. So you know, that's kind of detail that he goes into, make sure he has the best possible race meeting out there.
And Tyler, we were at Virginia International Raceway last week for the penultimate race meeting of the season there. We're at Road Atlanta today. Is there any parallels that can be drawn between the two going into this one?
Maybe the long straight. Sorry about that. Maybe the long straightaways, I would say. But just comparing to the two, they're all in all very close to similar to each other. So I think we'll get the same kind of racing as we did at VIR as well.
We mentioned just a few moments ago about the state of the championship going into this one. We will first fill you in on the Ford Mustangs. Basically, the top 3 positions in the GS Pro are settled. Aero Nom's the champion. Stephen Thomas is going to finish in 2nd. Kevin Ford is going to finish in 3rd. None of those are going to change. The remaining points battles in GS Pro, the Ford Mustang class, is going to be between Tyler Shiflett, Leon Wright, Russ Ruddock and Jeff Jacobs. However, if unless Tyler retires from the race early, the other 3 aren't really going to catch him in terms of points. Just looking at how it's set up between those two there, yeah, it's going to be quite difficult for them to catch them unless Tyler Shiflett has a crash at the start of the race. Also, unless Leon retires early in the race, it's unlikely that Russ and Jeff will pass them on points as well. So we'll try and keep you updated, and hopefully we'll have some idea of the state of play come the end of the evening. Meanwhile, in the Mazda MX-5s, Rob Hartley is the champion there. Mike Dam will finish 2nd unless he drops out of the top 10, and Travis Venke finishes in the top 2. Mike Dam hasn't had the best qualifying at the moment, so he'll be in the midfield, and it could be interesting to see whether he gets involved in any trouble. His internet can sometimes throw a spanner in the works for him too. As well as that, Travis Venke is definitely in 3rd place, and he can move up to 2nd if Dan finishes 8th or lower. And Pasquale Iannucci, who's in 4th, is definitely going to finish in 4th place there. So Alex, it's not complicated at all, is it? This final race meeting of the season. And one thing we do know is that both Aeronom and Rob Hartley have sewn up the GS and the ST championships.
Yeah, congratulations to those guys. Yeah, so what we should see tonight really is just everyone just going out there and having at it. I think, you know. Yes, there's that little bit in the middle, but we'll go and have some fun and have a good race out there.
Strategy is always a key element, Tyler, in this series, but with the extra hour and a half as well, we're going to see 2 stops, and it does allow us to see a bit of a wider window in terms of cars coming in early, cars doing smaller stints as well. So we're definitely going to be on our toes in these next 90 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with some of the fuel stints I've seen before, and granted in other cars, but I wouldn't be surprised of seeing mainly a 2-stop or even a few people doing like a few of the quicker drivers if they feel like taking the shorter route and making it to where it's like a 3-stop or 4 stops to try to keep the fuel weight as low as possible to take advantage of their speed.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing it. Kevin Ford, as usual, sent over his predicted tyre and fuel information. We also do have a few bits on what's going to happen with Ricmotech Sports Car Series next season. Plus, of course, Alex, potentially when we get going for next season, we'll be able to see what just goes on in those fuel and tyre stops, because we've got a new build in the works, and the animated pit crews, they're on their way.
Yeah, absolutely. Saw the video, of course, today with the open wheel car being done. We've already seen the NASCAR one as well, so they're working hard on that right now. I don't know, you know, I kind of want them to release it when there's just, you know, if a car's been done, let's have it. I want to see it. But you know what iRacing are like, they'll tend to wait until they've got it perfected, and perfecting it for them, I think, will mean that they all the cars will be done before it gets released.
Ricmotech Sports Car Series after this one gets going again on January the 14th. Just looking at the calendar, that is the 3rd week in January the 14th. There, quite a busy month. In fact, that'll be getting underway at Daytona. The Ricmotech World Challenge gets underway the following week at Daytona with the new GTD and GTLM classes, which we alluded to in our last World Challenge broadcast of the season there. So plenty to look forward to there. Drivers have the opportunity today for a bonus point by remaining under 6 incidents or less during the race. So they'll be able to watch out for that one. Tyler, track like Road Atlanta, is it going to be pretty difficult to keep, especially in a 90-minute race, that incident limit under 6?
My kind of driving, for me, yeah.
Me too.
A few others like Aeronom. I know Clint's been pretty clean. Well, other than from the previous broadcast, I should say that I've seen Clint's been pretty clean. I think it's more the drivers that are more cautious and trying to run as safe as possible. They're the ones I think that'll have the best shot. Some of the more aggressive drivers, that'll probably have that in the back of their mind, not thinking about it and just focusing on race pace. But it's for some of the other drivers, like mainly Aeronom, they're going to focus on it and try to make sure they have a quick race pace, but also a clean pace as well.
One other thing to watch out for is the virtual cautions. We saw them this season. The only time we've seen them this season, it was at Suzuka. They'll be doing them this season only, and will only be done when an extreme situation has occurred. I believe this might be actually for next season. They instruct the leaders of the classes to slow down, and we will look forward to seeing that. Qualifying is just coming to an end then. We haven't really touched on it. But Alex, it's Aeronom leading the way. Clint Weiger second, Steve Thomas in third. Just looking at the lap times there, not too much to separate them really. Weiger's just a tenth of a second or so behind Aeronom.
Yeah, and of course those times are locked in now, aren't they? The GS finished their qualifying STs that have the second stint. So Yeah, none with another good one, but yeah, Clint very, very close, and of course Clint was very close going in on the last race, but he had that accident, didn't he? It was really putting Nom under pressure, but yeah, unfortunate mistake just set him back. But there's a few drivers that have been quick here over the last few years, and few seasons that we've covered. So I don't think he's going to have it all his way tonight. Um, but strategically, he's very, very good. So the guys need to be absolutely on point, I think, to try and beat him.
Looking at this Road Atlanta circuit, getting set for the final race meeting of the season. Of course, this is the second week where we'll get to see the day to night transition. Obviously, the race won't be ending in darkness, but we will get to see how the lighting will change over the course of the race meeting. And one of the slightly older tracks on iRacing as well, so it'll be interesting to see how they've done it in terms of remodeling the lighting on one of the oldest circuits on the iRacing service. Just looking at the Mazda quickly before we the Masterclass before we get down to running you through the whole grid. It's John Allen currently on the pole there with Travis Schwenke in second, Jim List third, Dave Payson fourth, and Mike Dam set to start in fifth position. And I think if there's any track, Tyler, that's going to be a track for the Mazdas to tow each other around on, it's probably going to be this. But that left-hander at the exit of the S's, there's a big curb on the exit and a tyre wall that comes up pretty quickly on the outside as well. You want to be careful you don't run into that, because if you hit it, it's almost certainly going to be a race ender for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, especially with these cars too, and being a lot lighter than the Mustangs, you want to, especially in that sector alone, you want to be more cautious. Try not to get on the throttle too early, because if you get on the throttle too early and you hit that rumble strip on the right hand side too quickly, either you'll have two different things happen. Either you'll miss the corner, or actually you'll miss the exit of the corner and just completely hit the tire barrier on the right hand side, or even worse, especially if you're in the middle of traffic as well for the GS class, is car gets unsteady, suspension decides to work opposite for you, car spins around and gonna wipe out either yourself, you're gonna wipe out yourself as well as another car, or maybe even like the leader for the GS class.
Here's Tyler. Qualifying session just coming to an end now, and then we'll be getting down to the grid for the to run you through how the field's going to line up. Not too sure if it's a full pace lap here. I think it's just a small one, Alex. Not too sure, but
yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think you're right. It might be just a short one, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a full one.
We'll soon find out. New rules for the World Championship Grand Prix Series, I believe. I haven't actually read them myself, but I did see the posts on social media. What changes are afoot there?
Yeah, so two big changes. Of course, the open wheel World Championship Solo Drivers Series is no more as we know it, and it's switching over to a Porsche Cup competition. So no more open wheels. In top for the individual championship as well, but yeah, $100,000 up for grabs in that series. And of course, they announced today that the peak antifreeze will now be called, I think it's the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for 2019, and they are also sporting $100,000 of prize money. So rules pretty much the same as 2018. Regards to who keeps their licenses for the future years, but yeah, it's there's a lot of interest on the road side, that's for sure. There was already a lot of interest on the oval side. That's just going to make that competition level even stronger over there. So, two great sponsors getting involved with iRacing, and yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah, iRacing definitely throwing themselves into the world of esport competition now. Obviously, there was the Porsche showdown at the Porsche test track in Germany this weekend. Apex Racing UK's Jamie Fluke was in that one.
Yeah, Antoine was there too. Don't forget Antoine. Sorry,
yeah. Antoine, if you're watching. It is a full pace lap, by the way.
Yeah, I see.
And, yeah, and it isn't the first time either that the iRacing World Championship has not raced with single seaters. I think when the iRacing service was in its early infancy, the World Championship or whatever it was called back then when it first began was not in single seaters either. So looking forward to seeing how that one's going to work with the Porsches. But we can move you onto the grid. They're all getting set to go. We've been on the grid for a good 2 minutes now, so we're within a few seconds of getting the formation lap underway. There is a sense of deja vu here because he's been doing it all season. Aeronom starts on the pole with Clint Weiger second, just 97 thousandths behind him. Then it's Stephen Thomas in third, Kevin Ford in fourth, Tyler Shiflett starting in fifth for the final race of the season, Brandon Whitworth in sixth, Jeff Jacobs eighth, Leon Wright in eighth. The top eight separated by just under 8 seconds. Then moving on back, it's Russell Ruddock in 9th and Mike Ruddock in 10th. Then Ray Ben Jr. in 11th. 12th is Jennifer McDonald. And then moving on further back, it's the last two Ford Mustangs, Sam Katakouzanos and Reed Miller. Moving on to the Mazda MX-5s then, it's John Allen starting on pole there, Travis Schwenke in second. Third is Jim List. Fourth, Dave Payton. Fifth, Mike Dam. Bit of overtaking for the Canadians too there. And then Eric Violet in sixth. Seventh, Rob Hartley, the champion. So he looks like he might have an entertaining race there. Then eighth is Jeff Lavelle. Ninth, Jacob Beasley. 10th, Patty Iannucci. Chris Torman in 11th. 12th, Lyndon McMurphy. 13th, Jordy Fike. Derek Holland in 14th. And then 15th is Mike Taylor. Bobby Charles in 16th. Edgar Sanchinelli. Mike Key in 18th. And 19th is going to be Patrick Prevenus. Tyler, as we're now coming up to the double right-hander. Chance to either set a car up going onto the back straight or to try and have a lunge going into one of these two corners.
Most definitely. There's a few times as well, if you can get the momentum right going into the first right-hander, and then when you get into the second right-hander, you have an opportunity. If you have more momentum on the inside line, a dive bomb, I would not be surprised if we see a few, but there is a decent way you can be able to still make it through the corner at getting around the same braking point as what a lot of the other drivers would probably have at the same, but I do expect a lot of decent passing in that area as well.
Going down the back straight now, you can see on the track map that the two classes have separated themselves out, and we'll get to the Mazda MX-5 start once the Ford Mustangs have negotiated the opening sector, hopefully without incident. We saw a safety car earlier in the season at Suzuka. Those were for incidents that occurred about 2 or 3 laps into the race, so wait and see on that one. Getting set for the final race of the season in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, an hour and a half around Road Atlanta in Georgia. The lights are green, we're going through the final corner, and the final race of the season is underway here at Road Atlanta. Great start by Nom, as always. Clint Weiger hoping to stay in second place, he does, but it's a good start by Kevin Ford. He's going around the outside of Stephen Thomas, second in the championship Thomas, but Kevin Ford, who's in third, getting past him through the opening sector. And watch out for Tyler Shiflett behind. Then it's Jeff Jacobs, who's made a good start. He's up to 6th. Brandon Whitworth down to 7th as the Mazda MX-5s are underway now, going into the first corner. John Allen leading in Travis Schwenke, but Jim List might be about to get up the inside and does. So good start from Jim List. Opportunistic crash in the back. Oh, big one.
That was a 54, Jacob Beasley. That was one of the numbers I saw last second.
Big crash to start things off then in the Mazda MX-5s. The car's been left there at the first corner. I think they've had to tow back to the pits. Disaster for Beasley and Lavelle. Looks like both of them have had to retire. Alex, talk us through on the replay.
Yeah, just trying to see exactly what's happened there. Jump back a bit further because a couple of drivers involved. Yeah, Jeff Lavelle and Beasley. Let's just see. So I think that's Beasley lost it on his own through turn 1. Rear tyres perhaps a little cold, and yeah, just spun in front of Beasley there and just got collected in it. So yeah, both drivers towed back to the pits, and well, not how you want to end your season.
After a season of hard work to lose, to be out of the final race after just under a minute, it's not at all good for you at all. Let's run you through the order then at the end of the opening lap. Interesting to see this on the timing tower now. We can differentiate the order in the different classes. You can see that Jim List is not being listed as 15th overall. He's now being listed as class leader, so that is a new feature. Our anomalies then at the end of the first lap is Clint Weiger 2nd, Kevin Ford 3rd, Stephen Thomas 4th, Tyler Shiflett 5th, Jeff Jacobs 6th, Brandon Whitworth 7th, and then Leon Wright 8th, and then it's the 2 Ruddocks, Russell in 9th, and Michael Ruddock in 10th, with List, Alan, Schwenke, Payton and Dam rounding out the top 5 in the Mazdas. Tyler is I'm already getting a little bit of an advantage, 7/10. Kevin Ford, though, he looks racy in the early stages. He's trying to take 2nd place away from Vigers.
I don't know. I think right now, with it being an hour and 30 minutes, I think they're going to be starting to just try to get adjusted to the cars, see what the track is like, and with the cars, especially with a dynamic track weather. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a lot of aggressive move by Clint Vigas yet. He's probably. Honestly, if I was Clint, I'd look at the long run, see if I could try to keep up with Aeronom and try to maybe even do some fuel management at the start of the race. Maybe take advantage of the first pit stop of the race.
Alex, we know in the Mazdas how the drivers there like to play their cards close to their chest until very late on. Wonder if we could be seeing that in the Mustangs in the early going.
Yeah, well, I think if it is very, very close, and this group stays like this the whole time, and it's good to see actually that, you know, this little cluster. Yeah, I think we're going to see a few drivers do exactly that, try and fuel save and things like that, and just not give anything away too soon. Yeah, we'll see. Not just 0.6 of a second as he's finishing up the twisty part of the circuit, and now this is where, of course, his lead just gets reduced by quite a margin. If I just bring up the battle box, you'll see just with the slipstream that gap is going to come down. Not as quick as I was thinking it was going to, still just around the 6th. So might make it to half second, so he's going to lose a couple of tenths down that back straight. So yeah, that's you know, the kind of deficit that he needs to gain throughout the corners. But good line for Vigas through the chicane there as well. Really nailed the line there, using all of the curb. So yeah, he looks on it as well. Kevin Ford looking like he'll want to bounce back, of course, from last week. He had a bit of a mare.
Indeed, a very decent lap at the end of the previous tour for Clint Vigas. Fastest second sector of anybody, 25.4 there, and he was just over a 10th of a second quicker than Aeronom. Here's the battle for the lead then in the Mazdas. It's John Allen versus Jim List going into the chicane, and it's John Allen grimly holding on to the lead going into the chicane. And it's Travis Schwenke, Dave Payton, Mike Dam, Eric Violet, and then Rob Hartley. Jim List so far in the top first 7 or 8 cars is the only one ready to make any positions since the start of the race. But just when it looked like, Tyler, that Jim List was trying to take the lead away from John Allen, Travis Schwenke is now going to go up the inside and take 2nd.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great pass. Looks like Jim List has an opportunity, even though he'll be on the wrong end of the turn after he gets through this really quick left-hander, and Schwenke takes over again. But yeah, the way the cars are running for the MX-5s, Allen's pulling a little bit of a lead, but it's still going to be very close. As I believe usually roughly the slip time stream is you're about a 1.5 seconds from the car in front with the MX-5s. You still have an opportunity of having a little bit of a draft to gain some extra speed.
Have you ever driven the Mazda around this circuit before, Tyler?
Yes, I have. And
is it pretty exciting when you go through the S's? Because I guess it must get a bit light through there.
Oh, yeah, it's safe to say yes. And then especially when you come up to that final left-hander, the sharp left-hander after the snake. Oh, and let's just say that's a hair-raising moment for me, because there's a few times I always worry that I'm going to end up wrecking the car accidentally by just making a mistake and taking myself out.
Glad that one of us here has some experience of the of the Mazda MX-5. Can't really tell you the last time I was behind the wheel of that car. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, just that commentator's race. That's it. I can't think of. Oh, that's not true. I did. And I hope this doesn't get me banned, but I did a couple of races on my dad's account, just to get him out of rookies. So yeah, that was it. So that was. I think that was after that race. So that broadcasting place, but yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think the last race I ran was actually with BSR for the MX-5. Last time I ran the MX-5 at Road Atlanta, right now, currently, that I can recall.
Haven't really actually, yeah. I've done a few BSR series recently. I say recently, in the last year or so. Most of them have been in the Kia. I don't think I've done any in the Mazda or in the GT series. Here is Aeronom. Lap is now 1.2 seconds at the end of lap 5, starting lap 6. Kevin Ford is just half a second behind Vigas, and then a further 4 attempts back to Stephen Thomas in 4th. But let's appreciate here Aeronom as he flies through the S's up to the top of the hill, using all of the curbs available to him. The curbs have got to be your friend if you want to be quick around this Road Atlanta circuit. And you can hear, Alex, the sound of the Mazda MX-5. So compared to Virginia International Raceway a week ago, where we weren't really seeing much in the way of Mustangs lapping Mazdas, it looks like we're not going to be too far away from starting to lap the ST class.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a lot of this circuit. These Mustangs are going to have a serious overspeed as well. So this back straight being one, and yeah, not going to take long at all. We'll see them come through a few times.
First time today we can bring you in some of the strategy information for this. First of all, tyres. Mustang drivers will more than likely take the full 4 tyres on the first pit stop, and may potentially take none or 2 when we get to the second round of stops. As for the Mazdas, they'll more than likely take 4 on their first stop, and same again, potentially no tyres on their second stop, just so they can get back onto the track as quickly as they can. In terms of the fuel, the Ford Mustangs will get about 21 to 22 laps on a tank of fuel. We are currently on lap 7 of the race, so we can expect them to be out for another 15-16 laps at least before coming in. We're expecting the race to go for about 58 to 59 laps, so that is interesting there. And while the Mazdas, they'll get about 25 to 26. They'll probably pit about 35 to 40 minutes in the race, and some drivers may pit early just in case of strategy. Fit sitters, this battle for the lead in the Mazda MX-5s continues to rage on. John Allen's a little bit of an advantage over Charles Schwenke's been wiped out. Schwenke is doing well here, but the quick guys are all at the front. They're just looking at it. Allen, Schwenke, Liss, Payton, Dam and Violet, all in the positions they have started as they follow each other around in procession in the early stages of this race.
It's just what we've come to see, isn't it? I think in this series, just that very, very patient build-up. Even more so in these 90-minute races. The 60, you know, a couple of drivers make moves, especially if they're at the back of the pack. Yeah, Hartley will be, you know, he'll look to see if he can get himself in the top 5, but quite clearly he's very, very happy just to sit where he is right now. Of course, he might well have won the championship, but he'll still want to get the honours tonight. So, but yeah, I don't think we'll see him or make too much effort to move forward until closer towards the pit stops.
The midfield then, for the first time today, this is the 2 Ruddocks going at it. Russell Ruddock leading Michael here. Russell Ruddock is in the purple car with Mike Ruddock in the orange and black. That might just be me not updating the dreading paints, but that's what I'm seeing here. They're lapping the Mazdas now, going through the right-hander slowest part on the circuit really, and now on to the back straight. And We'll see what kind of speeds these these four Mustangs can get up to. But giving his brother a decent tow here. See if Michael fancies the move at all. One driver that is behind him is Sam Kasakouzanos. I was worried then for a brief moment that it was Aeronom, but of course Sam is Aeronom's teammate for this. Hoping to get as many points as he can on the board to help him here. But as Russell goes through the chicane, he does not need any distractions right now from his brother, and he truly hasn't. They come through the final corner now. You can see there from the times that are popping out from the left-hand side that Kevin Ford was fractionally quicker than Aeronom again on this one. So they're all finally balanced, as I think Leon Wright may have just passed Tyler Schiffler, or either way, I think Leon Wright might have got past Jeff Jacobs. I think that's what's happened. In fact, you can just see in the background that battle is still kicking on. That's Jeff Jacobs versus Brandon Whitworth going down the S's, Tyler, and it's looking pretty close as Leon Wright runs wide.
Yeah, looked like Jeff Jacobs made a little bit of a correction there as he was going up the hill. It looked like he was starting to get himself a little loose, missed the apex of the corner on the final turn in the S's, and got them all out of shape. Looks like as well he's got a little bit of damage in the rear end, so probably I guess while he and Brandon Whitworth are fighting, Brandon must have given him a nice little tap to crumple up the back end a little bit. Shouldn't do too much on aero-wise for the car.
Towards the chicane we go. Battle over 6th and 7th place rages on here. Sorry, 7th and 8th. Jeff Jacobs in the 38 Jacobs racing car. Very decent livery, I must admit, with the teeth along the side of the car. And then it's Brandon Whitworth in 8th. Has lost 2 positions since the start of this one. He's in the No Hope Racing number 42. Comes across the line, will be open for a good race to end the season. If you're new to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, if you lead a lap in any of the races, you get a bonus point. If you are the top qualifier, so if you start on pole position, you get an extra bonus point there. And if you are a driver racing in the open class category, you get another bonus point for the most positions gained. So plenty to help the drivers in terms of getting involved in the championship fight, and it's a bit easier for us to understand as well. And points are also awarded out for how clean you get to, Alex. So similar in a way to BSR, where usually every driver ends up scoring a point in some way or form, but here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, while it's a bit more controlled, you still get drivers in both classes that are able to get on the score sheets with for their efforts.
Helps if I push the button so you can hear me. But yeah, it's I do like the way that you can score points, and of course there's all the different classes, so you the open and the pro as well. So and it's something for everybody to race for. You know, BSR do it well with the way they do it and the reverse grids and everything else like that. It gives them a chance to get the race wins. But yeah, you've got the points and bonuses and things like that available here. And it all works nicely in their sort of championship run. Now, I've just seen a big red John Allen crashed on my screen. This was a few laps ago, and he has dropped down, so I just thought we'd better take a quick look at this on replay. Oh! Somehow, everybody has avoided him, and he's going to continue.
Wow.
But, yeah, 7 places, so the 22nd overall now. Yeah, that could have been a lot worse, but 4 seconds behind Hartley. It's all sorted itself out. So, will he be able to get back to that group or not? I don't know.
Rob Hartley did a fantastic job, Tyler, of avoiding him there. He had to take to the grass, and he's lost a few positions as a result. The car looks like it's clean, and he hasn't hit anything as a result.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with some of the damage now, where especially if you hit the grass too hard as well, you could get some damage on the front end. So being able to keep that car clean, especially trying to avoid out of control John Allen there for a second, that was really good work. He should still be able to keep up, and he should have an opportunity to get some draft air coming on the start finish straight.
Lap 12 then. These guys are all still on the lead lap. No sign of the Ford Mustangs getting to these guys just yet. So looking here at Dave Payton in the JSP Motorsports car. He has gained 1 place since the start. Things have changed quite a bit in this lead group as a result of the chaos down at the first corner. Travis Venke now has inherited the lead. Mike Dam has gained 3 spots since the start and is in second, and is looking a bit threatening going into the double apex right-hander here. Tell you what, Dave Payton may have the best seat in the house here to see if Dam and Schwenke can get by. Onto the back straight we go then, and Damworth is in about 2.5 tenths of a second of getting by here. We'll see if the Mazda MX-5 can stretch its legs. However, Mike Dam wants to get in the lead in this particular moment. He drifts back into the wake of Travis Venke, the Crypto G orange car. Going to go for a lunge into the chicane at the end of the back straight. No, thinks better of it, but shows a decent run there for Mike Dam, and it's fitting in once again, Alex, with our mantra of the Mazdas being pretty conservative early on.
Yeah, indeed. Just seeing a little replay here. This is how Kevin Ford got himself up and into second place. I wonder if that was a bit of a slowdown or something for Vigas that set him back. He was trying to keep Ford behind him, but yeah, in the end actually drifted out wide through that final turn, and yeah, kept it pointing forward. So they're still sort of there in the shout. But what that has done is just give Nom just an extra little bit of gap now, and that margin's up to 4.2 seconds.
Aaron Nom ever so slightly starting to stretch his legs, then you could say, and Tyler, with these two battling, it's a good scrap at the moment between these two as they run very wide on the exit of the left-hander. It's just allowing Nom to extend his gap even more. Just when it looked like Vigas was lapping a tenth or so of a second quicker than Nom, now he's got Kevin Ford to deal with. The task of keeping up with Aaron Nom in terms of lap times is gone out of the window.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially just looking at the top times right now for the GS class. I mean, right now 14 of Stephen Thomas's ran the quickest lap time of a 1:32, but the top 3 are all within a tenth of each other regarding best time. And it was just with Clint having that little mistake. Aero Nom's last lap was a 131.4, and while Clint with that big off track, I'm surprised he was able to control it as well as he did. He still got a 132, but 132.5, but that's almost a full second just from that mistake right there. And if Aero Nom's able to keep the pace he's going, he's going to pull away from the other second, third, and fourth place respectively.
One person that's doing okay in this one, Alex, he hasn't crashed at all. We were just looking at him there, Sam Katakouzenos, his teammate, the Aussie. So it's always going to be difficult for racing against people on the other side of the world, and it's getting a bit difficult now for his teammate Aaron Nom as he's finally starting to negotiate the main body of traffic here in the Mazda MX-5 class.
Yeah, busy. Looks fairly busy as far as traffic right now. But yeah, Sam having a reasonable race, up a couple of spots, and yeah, right in the thick of a good little battle, and yeah, brought that kind of up on the screen because it was so busy. But yeah, the leaders coming through the leaders now. So this is usually where the MX-5 race can get split up somewhat. So I think I hope for our point that that doesn't happen here.
I want to touch in on that too, especially with the GS class being almost 4 seconds quicker compared to the MX-5s. With the way that the GS class is speed-wise in the straights, it's going to cause a lot of carnage for the MX-5s. But at the same time, for the MX-5 race, like how some of the leaders were doing or I think it was third place, David Patton, when Aero Nom got around him, he immediately got into his draft, and that was where the one advantage is for these MX-5s is with being able to have the smaller cars, they can be able to take up that wide window that the Mustangs take up for that for all of that wind resistance, so they can be able to get a very good draft and be able to gain a lot more speed, as well as be able to pull away from the other competitors behind them if they're at the perfect distance away where they can be able to pull away and leave the competitors behind.
Is all very interesting as the first round of pit stops start to edge ever closer. I believe we're about 8 or so minutes away from maybe seeing the first of the cars start to come in. Obviously, I wanted they'll be taking on a slower second stint or something like that. While we await the first rounds of pit stops, though, Alex, we could get our first commercial break in of the evening, so we'll head over to the guys at Ricmotech to hear from them, and we will be back in a moment here at Road Atlanta as the battles continue to rage on in a Mazda MX-5. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to the final race meeting of the season in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and I'm back, Alex Simpson and Tyler Vickery with you. And Alex, one thing you can tell just straight away from the bottom of the screen is that pit stops have well and truly begun here as we come back to action here.
Yep, boom. As soon as we hit that advert break, everybody jumps into the pits. It would seem, but mainly the mid to rear runners, a few busted up cars in there as well. But yeah, Chris Dorman in, so yeah, I guess it's imminent. Yeah, the leaders in them don't look like they're going to jump yet, and no one from. No, we have had Leon Wright and Jeff Jacobs have both pitted from the GS class, so yeah, a bit different.
Getting the pit stops out of the way pretty quickly. I'm guessing for some of the drivers in the Mazdas, their aim of pitting early means that by the time they come out, the Ford Mustangs are already through, and they won't have to worry about getting out of the way to let them through when it comes to the traffic at this stage, anyway.
That's the usual thinking, isn't it? Yeah, try and just sort of save yourself 3-4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, depending on where the traffic hits you. So yeah, it makes sense for them to try and sneak in and let them jump them while they're in the the sort of the pit phase, if you would have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially especially with coming in the pits, trying to get back up to speed. You'd rather have that. You'd rather have that clean, fresh air and not having to worry about the faster Mustangs coming up behind you real quick as you're trying to get up to speed. So sometimes that short pitting could also be a benefactor as well, to where you don't have to worry about having the faster class coming up to you quickly, to where you have to react in a split second, unlike how when you're at full speed.
Great on board shot here, Mike Dam. 0.2 of a second away from Travis Schwenke here as he looks to the inside going into the chicane. I wonder when these two will start to pit, because we've had a few come in. However, the top 10 currently now are all yet to make their first stop, as Mike Dam clearly lifting out of the throttle, Alex, going into the chicane.
Yeah, making a huge difference, won't it? That'll save absolutely boatloads of fuel as well, of course. So definitely strategy going on there for Mike.
Got Dave Payton for company 2 as Stankosta Kuzanos now comes into the pits. You can see him tumbling down the order in the GS class. Team Bushwink number 2 car. Hasn't hit the heights of Aero Nom, but yeah, helping get that team some crucial points when it comes to a potential teams battle fight, teams championship fight. Over the top of the hill, nobody has hit that wall and damaged the car too much just yet.
It's gonna happen once tonight. It usually does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we've done a broadcast here where someone hasn't been involved in that.
Eva, did you ever crash at this point in the that part of the circuit in the BSRTC? I don't know if it was your fault or not, but I think I remember you getting involved in something there.
I don't recall, to be honest.
Right.
But yeah, it is easy to do. Just you get pushed out wide or something like that. That massive curb is very easy to get off all sorts of shape.
Start to see now, Tyler, that parts of the circuit are covered in shade, and the shadows starting to get ever bigger as into the pits comes Mike Dam.
Yeah, absolutely. As I've started, as the sun starts setting, you can definitely see when some of the cloud cover is coming overhead, it's going to make some of the portions of that track a lot more grippier. So, might see some more action in the MX-5s. Just because of how low the grip is for those cars in general. So it's going to be some interesting racing once they get into the cloud cover portions of the section.
See how long these stops take then. You can see the car getting jacked up on either side as Ruddock gets his tyres changed.
Wait. That was 25 seconds stationary, 25.5, and in the pit lane, is it going to be just under a minute? Close, yeah, 55.7. So, obviously, some people, so John Allen out there, did it in 16.8 or 47.67 in the pit. So, yeah, there's some variations going on already, which quite expected, I think. There was always going to be a little change in some people going for the shortest stint to, you know, first, or the long one second sort of thing.
Yeah, looking at that timing of the 55 seconds for getting into the pits and coming out of the pits, that might be an advantage for Mike right now, being on the fresher tires. So if Travis Schwenke and some of the other lead MX-5s that haven't pitted yet, they might have to take an opportunity now and pit. Otherwise, Mike's going to have the best opportunity in taking over the lead at this rate.
Could be something of an undercut, really. Don't often see it in these classes, especially in the 90-minute races where we see different strategies going on. But yeah, we'll look forward to see that with interest, and whether Mike Dam can get his way past and into the lead. Travis Schwenke was having to put up quite a defensive drive to keep Dam at bay in the Mazda MX-5 class, the ST class earlier on. as we now check in with Kevin Ford and Clint Vigus, currently sitting second and third in the GS class here. Obviously Aero Nom just out of sight at the moment. 5 seconds is the gap. It's going to take a tall order for them to close that down unless the Singer makes a mistake.
Both of them into the pits, and actually Stephen Thomas is going to follow him as well, as does Tyler Chevrolet.
There we go, right on cue, all 4 of them in. We were mentioning earlier when we did the strategy that they will be coming in around the 35-minute mark, so not too far away from that. Nom into the pit box. Kevin Ford in, Vigus in, Thomas in, Chevrolet all in. I think Russell Ruddock has just come into the pit lane as well, so you can see the spreading cars, and we'll see what Aero Nom, or hopefully see what Aero Nom can do in terms of how many tyres he's going to change. You can see the car jacked up to one side as he gets the tyres and the fuel into the car, and away he goes. That is a 22.5 second stop for him. Who's going to be next to emerge out of the pit lane? It's going to be Kevin Ford. Away he goes. It's not the best stop for Stephen Thomas, because as he emerges, Alex, it's going to be Stephen Thomas behind Clint Vigus.
Yeah, so well, actually that's kind of how they were, wasn't it? So if anything, I think Steve was just a bit closer to Clint, because Clint only lost to one place, didn't he, when he ran wide in the final corner and Kevin got by. So kind of all much of the same. Looking at the pit stop times, obviously Noms was very quick, 22.45, but the others, yeah, sort of in that sort of 24-second range. Hartley at the front still hasn't pitted.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah,
has he,
so him. Well, there's a whole gaggle that haven't pitted yet, but yeah, just going quite long into this one.
Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so. Mansell MX-5s are yet to pick. Miller is in as well in the Ford Mustangs. Reed Miller, who gained 12 positions to pretty much head the field before he came into the pits, and he's now done so now, which pretty much means that the entire the entire Ford Mustang field has cycled through and made their stops. We're just waiting now for these Mazda MX-5s to do theirs, and it looks like Tyler, at least for now anyway, with everybody in the Mustang in a Mustang coming in over the space of 2 or 3 laps, it means that the strategies aren't going to have changed that much. In fact, looking at the pit stop times, they're only differing by about 5 or 6 seconds. So everybody, for the most part, in the Mustang class, all on the same wavelength here.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with figuring those kind of times out, those Mustang drivers could figure out what their next opportunity is when the second pit stop comes into play. Probably within that roughly that same time again, about the hour mark, or even the hour and 5-minute mark, with how they've been running their pace. So it'll be an interesting sprint for those last like 20-25 minutes or so.
Looking here at a good scrap involving different cars from different classes. This is Pat Iannucci in 4th in class in the Crypto G green car. Then it's Eric Violet just in front of him, and then behind you've got Clint Vigus, I believe, in the Ford Mustang. Through he goes. Next up, he is closely followed by Steve Thomas, who is trying to get some of those positions back after he lost them in the pit stops. But Alex, a Mazda MX-5 in the way there, isn't going to help proceedings here, because obviously the Mazda doesn't just get out of the way. It's the Mustang is going to have to try and find a way past.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's their responsibility to get by and to do it safely. And yeah, having just done a 6-hour race around Interlagos, which is pretty tight and twisty, on Sunday for the Neo, I can say, you've got to have patience. That's all I can really say. You try and force a move, it usually ends up biting you where you don't want it.
looking the right hander onto the back straight. Now's going to be the opportunity, Tyler, to really see the difference in terms of top end speed. Because look, the Mazda doesn't really lose too much time to the Mustang. It's going to be for this final part of the straight where the Mustang really does take off.
Yeah, just looking at the top speeds right now for the comparing it from the Mazdas as well as the Mustangs. Right now, some of the top speeds I'm seeing right now for the Mazdas is going to be about 120, even though this is all in miles per hour, unfortunately. A lot of this is right now 126 miles per hour for Robert Hartley, 126 for Jim Liss as he's going into the pit road now, as well as Pat Iannucci. Some of the top Mustang drivers are up in the 140, so almost about a 15-mile-an-hour difference in top speed overall.
Oh, that's very close, but yeah, Alex, the Rob Hartley wasn't leading really earlier, but Jim List and Iannucci all in. It's going to be interesting to see where Mike Dam and John Allen and Travis Schwenke all are going to emerge when they come around the final corner now to come across the line and get past some of these guys. Let's see how close it's going to be.
Yeah, you can see the sort of the names on the mini map. How it's all going to pan out. Mike Dam obviously coming around the final corner now, so not going to be anywhere near List, but Spenke and a few others that had the shorter pit stop, they have come out in front quite clearly.
One thing I do remember, Alex, I think it was one of the 90-minute races that we had at Sebring a while back, is that I think Mike Dam tried this strategy before where he ended up taking the shorter stint at the very end of the race, or near the end of the race, and it worked out a treat. So we'll wait and see with this one, but it's all going to be a case of measuring the gap as we approach the halfway point of this 90-minute race.
Yeah, he's had good and bad, hasn't he, recently? Because the other week, obviously, the strategy was disastrous, really. He was short on fuel and had to pit for an extra pit stop, and yeah, it just all kind of went wrong. So, yeah, he'll be hoping for a much better one this time.
Shows you really, Tyler, how everybody in a series is highly competitive and highly professional as this, that when it comes to the fuel numbers, they're literally measuring it to the nearest milliliter in making sure that they can get to the end with the lightest and therefore quickest car as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're having to be on a fuel strategy, especially for a 90-minute race like this. You want to make sure you try to be able to be as much fuel efficient as possible. Especially like with how you were talking about with Mike Dam's strategy earlier. So I like how his strategy is. I think it's going to be really play into effect, as well as some of the other Mustangs. I mean, even though Aeronom's just pulling away from the entire field with absolute unbelievable pace, but with some of these other guys, Clint Vigas, Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, there's a good opportunity that they, as long as they can work out the pit strategy correct, they can be able to pull off a shocking podium or even better.
Oh, we were going to see a crash then for a moment, Alex. I don't know whether you heard the same. I heard the sound of gravel and didn't hear much after that, and I thought someone had crashed at the top of the hill. But yeah, they're all through safely, and you can also see that the conditions have really changed. In fact, it's pretty much only this second half of the lap where there is any sun shining on the circuit. In fact, pretty much most of the circuit is bathed in shade now as the sun starts to disappear in the closing stages of the day here. Yeah,
I'm just jumping in real quick. Yeah, it's just with the sun coming down like it is. I mean, it's going to be real interesting. We've already seen a few of the Mazdas. I mean, not a Mazda. A few of the Mustangs already have their lights turned on. The question is going to be how soon is the MX-5s going to turn on the lights, especially with that extra 30 minutes in the race. And as the track cools down, the times are definitely going to start dropping. So it'll be interesting to see how much quicker these guys will get, both in the Mustangs as well as the Mazdas.
One thing that is slightly disappointing at the moment, Alex, is that the gaps between the the cars in the Mustangs have really separated out from the first round of pit stops. Usually in this series, as Rob Hartley does a move there, going through the S's, just like one of the slower Mazda X5s there, is that usually in this series the gaps do come down towards the end of the race, and then with a few battles for position. Oh, spin!
Oh,
Eric
that
Violet.
was... Yep.
Eric Violet losing
really
over the top of the hill and does a good job to not hit anything, Tyler.
Yeah, that was a very good save there. It could have been very disastrous, but able to get back up, get back going and after it again. Looks like he only...
Yeah,
sorry.
he was in this. Yeah, it's okay. No worries. He was battling away with Iannucci and Hartley, but now he is a bit down the order. He's been passed by Mike Dam as well, Eric Violet. So down to 22nd place overall, 8th in class, as Hartley paces after Patty Iannucci going into the S's here. In fact, as we chase Patty Iannucci, Alex, let's see if we can go for an onboard lap of this Road Atlanta circuit. Good opportunity to see how the track goes and how the conditions are affecting the drivers as they're currently sitting behind the wheel too, as we go around this Road Atlanta circuit in Braselton, Georgia. I think Alex might have gone, so
I just saw he stepped away for a second.
No problem. Well, we've got the camera fixed on Rob Hartley here, so we can look at the track from the TV cameras at the side of the circuit perspective, as he's really starting to apply the pressure on Iannucci here, going into the double apex right hander at the back of the circuit. It's just going to be a case of whether he can get by or not. We're going to see if he can get a decent run here. Looks like he has, and he's already starting to close on Iannucci before we even start to get into slipstreaming territory.
Yeah, absolutely is. Should have an advantage if he's able to get a little bit more speed. He might be able to take him in the last chicane. He might be able to fully overtake him here as they're coming down to that chicane, and clearly will.
We move from Rob Hartley there to get into second place in not second place in class, into 5th place in class, as Iannucci is demoted back to 6th. You can see he is there in front of him now. He's got Dave Payton, Jim List, Charish Fenke, and it's John Allen leading the way in the Mazda MX-5s with half the race completed. 30 laps down by the Mustangs, and we've now got 45 minutes to go with another round of pit stops to look forward to as well. And I wonder if they could change anything in terms of the race outcome for the final race meeting of the season. One thing that doesn't change from race to race, Alex, is Aaron Norm, who is continuing to lead. But in the Mustang class, there are a few battles out there, but Aaron Norm right now, he's wanting to round off the season in perfect symmetry here. Has won pretty much every single race of the season, and Road Atlanta looks set to be just another one of those days, as he is classing the field, bossing the field here as he goes towards the final chicane.
Just drove away from a Mazzini today. You know, they had the slipstream and everything. They had every opportunity to stay with him, but he's absolutely nailed it. Been very, very good. And yeah, don't want to curse him too much or anything like that. We're only halfway through the race, but yeah, that, you know, we wanted to achieve that perfect championship, and at the moment, you know, there's every possibility that he could do that. I just wanted to pick up on another point as well, that when you were talking about, you know, the MX-5s and things like that. So we very, very rarely see like a big divide in the field with lots of individual gaps like we have now, because if I just bring up the intervals for a second and we focus a bit more on Alan so we can see a few more of the MX-5s. Well, that didn't work at all. And that's not going to work. So, hold on 1 second. I'll get me cameras in gear. Right, here we go. Yeah, lots of little individual sort of little gaps out there as well. I mean, there are some close battles, but normally we still see that big gaggle, don't we, after a pit stop? So definitely lots of strategies, different strategies going on out there. So this final pit stop is going to be really, really important to see, you know, who absolutely nails it, who gets it bang on the fuel figures. And talking about fuel figures, and we did sort of touch on this a little bit last week. I think Mike mentioned it as well, that as the track cools down, as the sun starts to set, of course you get more and more grip and you naturally burn more fuel, so it does make getting the actual fuel in so critical now. And it was exactly the same for us yesterday in the endurance series. We had to really manage our fuel towards the end of the race. We were Jesus, Paunichi gets it all kinds of sideways over that curb. But yeah, we had to manage the fuel throughout the start of the race to make sure we could do the required, you know, just to make the pit stops. Our idea, we didn't want to have another pit stop. But then as the race went on, of course, the time started coming down, so we had to we still had to save fuel all the way pretty much to the final stint, and then we were able to just sort of calculate it from there. So it was quite a low number we ended up having to hit. We had, you know, to make it. So I think this is going to be interesting, this last half hour, that last pit stop, with people just if they haven't worked it out right, it's going to surprise them.
Not the first time that we've seen cars struggle with strategies here. The day to night transition, Tyler, not only is it changed how we can see things and how the drivers see things, but as Alex has just been saying, it's really affecting the strategy now in terms of the track conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like what Alex was saying about the grip levels. It's with cooler track, better grip levels. This is where, honestly, if I was a driver, like especially mainly focusing on the MX-5 drivers, if you're able to keep up with either the same driver in front of you, or even whenever you have a Mustang getting around you, take advantage and try to hang in their draft as long as possible. Is sometimes just staying in the draft and being patient might get an opportunity to save a little bit more fuel, last a little bit more longer, and usually if you can last another lap or two before that final pit stop, that's a little bit less fuel you have to put into the car, quicker lap time, quicker pit stop as well. Oh, we got a spinner. I think that was Robert Hartley that just spun out there.
I think it was as well.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, here's a replay. Madhouse Racing number 2 car.
Oh, look what corner it was. Look what corner.
Yep. I think I said something about that earlier, about that corner.
He got lucky there, big time.
Yeah. Wow.
Almost a carbon copy of what happened to Eric Violet there. Both of them managing to not hit anything. Here's a replay of Jacob Beasley. The car is already pretty damaged here. Is he just going to pull over to the side of the road and potentially call it quits? You'd think so, and he is. Or maybe he's just getting going again as he's trying to let cars go by. Either way, his race is pretty much run. Here's another replay. Here's what happens, I think, to cause the damage.
This is Eric Violet. Just, you know, we hadn't seen any when that bus is. Oh, be careful!
That's how Sam avoided it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is Jacob Beasley's crash that caused. Oh, no, that's already got damage on that car as well. So him just sort of cutting across the track and things like that. So trying to find where Jacob picked up this accident. Still already got it. I think this might be a. Well, I can't seem to find it, and I just, you know, just from our point, as we are admin in tonight as well, so really wanted to see.
That's a lot of damage on that front end of that Mazda.
Yeah.
So that looked like it was a big hit as well.
And I'm going back quite a way now, and I'm really not found where this was. There's this one all the way back here, but this was absolutely, that was right at the start of the race. This managed to get his car repaired and carried on after that. That's something we haven't seen.
Unless the required repairs was able to fix it fully, but
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Maybe. Okay, well, we're back live, and yeah, Kevin Ford just putting another lap on Jacob. Jacob just insisting on trying to get the race finished, even with that